My partner is beefing with a homeless person. We passed through some homeless people and one of them said, "Here you go, miss you, since you're the first woman who walked by and gave me a dead flower." It was my birthday at midnight, so it kind of felt special to me. I tried to take a video of the flower and he tried taking my phone. I still wanted to get a video with the flower, so I pulled my phone out again. This time, he karate chopped my hand and made me drop my phone on the concrete. My phone screen is completely broken. Luckily, it's the screen protector, but still, it's all shattered. I screamed, "Why did you do that?" And he took my flower and threw it on the road. He said that's what I get for embarrassing him like that. I was tearing up because he broke my phone. He threw my flower away and I couldn't understand what I did wrong. He made me delete the video with the flower in front of him and we walked in silence the rest of the time. At home, I blew up at him. I was crying, screaming, asking him why he did that. Literally an hour before my birthday, he said, "How would you feel if a girl just came up to me in front of you to give me a flower?" I said if it were the same homeless woman that you see almost every day when you walk in your neighborhood, I wouldn't mind. He called me a liar, then said I was manipulative to try to invalidate his feelings when I was blatantly disrespecting him in front of other men. I don't understand how it's disrespectful. I wasn't even going to keep the damn thing. It was a dead flower. I just thought it was cool because that had never happened to me, especially 2 hours before my birthday. He said a bunch of stuff, basically that I was an attention whore. I was sobbing. It was already my birthday and I felt horrible. We went to sleep without talking and the next morning he was gone. I had brunch with my friends, so I had my mind distracted for a couple of hours, but it was still in the back of my mind. I still don't know who's 100% wrong here. Maybe I shouldn't have accepted the flower, but I honestly saw it as an innocent thing. He still won't talk to me. Even his siblings wish me a happy birthday, but he hasn't yet. I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose my boyfriend over a flower. Update: I broke up with him. To be honest, I still love him and I'm trying to cut all communication, because I know that if he contacts me again, I'll most likely go back. I literally made a list of all the reasons why he sucks and I try to read it every time I want to text him. Here's the update. He surprised me with my favorite flowers and a letter. He wished me happy birthday and apologized for his reaction. He said he was being immature and it won't happen again. He said we should work on communicating each other's boundaries better. He also apologized for ghosting me for a few days. He said he just needed some time to cool down. Not going to lie, I just wanted my boyfriend back, so I accepted the apology under the condition that he will never do anything like that again. He swore on his life that he'll never make me cry ever again. I genuinely saw a shift in his personality. He was even better than when I first fell for him. Like one time, we were cuddling and talking about our relationship. He literally started crying while professing his love to me. He said that he knows that sometimes he gets frustrated over little things, but it's because he loves me so much and he's terrified to lose me. He shared so many things about his past. He had never opened up to me before, so it really felt like the relationship grew stronger. We went to the beach as a little birthday celebration for him and his friends. We were 6 in total and I was the only girl. 2 other girls were supposed to come too, but they had work. I didn't know that until I asked one of the guys and he told me. Long story short, he got mad at me for wearing a bikini. He was like, "WTF, do I look like having my girl walk around half naked in front of everyone?" I reminded him that we're at the beach and a lot of people wear bikinis at the beach. He said that it's different because I'm the only girl here with 5 guys and it makes me look bad. I said I didn't care and went back to everyone. After a little while, he pulled me to the side again. He called me names, said that one of his friends obviously wants to screw me but I'm too dumb to see it. He said he overheard him. I don't think this is true, but Ike. He was very angry, but also he had been drinking, so it could explain his irrationalness. I started crying, then went home because I didn't want people to see me like that. He was being so weird. I don't know why he was being aggressive all of a sudden. Like before the flower incident, he had never used that kind of language with me, especially in public. He came over that night to talk about what happened. I was so hurt. I honestly thought we had grown closer. We both explained our side of the situation. I told him I wasn't trying to get anyone's attention by wearing a bikini and I can kind of understand his point of view because I was a little uncomfortable too being the only girl there. He said I could have put my clothes back on but I had to stay in a bikini. He said I looked like a street girl waiting for 69 when I was laying on my stomach tanning. I can't really remember what he said after that. I was just so hurt. We were going in circles, so we decided to just go to bed. He then tried to initiate the deed, which just pissed me off. I said no every time. I heard him say something about me being an annoying as beach under his breath and that was the last straw. I kicked him out and broke up with him. It wasn't easy. He was crying and screaming the whole time. He even punched a wall in my room. I was terrified. I never thought he could do that. We had never fought like that before. He finally left when I dialed 911 and tried to call. I don't know why I still love him so much. I understand his reactions, knowing his past and what he's been through, and it's a lot, trust me. I know it's not an excuse, but it's still an explanation, right? Anyway, it's over now. Half of my stuff is still at his house. I don't even want to think about it right now. He's blocked. I am really trying to villainize him in my mind so I can move on, but it's hard when all I can think of is the amazing moments we shared, like how he was crying in my arms telling me he loves me more than life, the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, or the day he gave me a promise ring. Maybe I did go wrong somewhere. It's just so crazy to think that all of this could have been avoided if I hadn't accepted the flower. Also, I am very aware that I'm dumb for thinking that he could change so quickly. I just wanted my boyfriend back. Thank you again everyone for the advice. Story 2. I was my mother's verbal punching bag my whole childhood and cut her off after she accused me of faking an illness to get money out of my dad. Now she wants back in my life. I grew up with my dad, mother, little sister, and older half-brother. When I was 3 years old and my sister was 6 months old, she was diagnosed with cancer. Thankfully she's a fighter, and after a few years of treatment, she kicked cancers in the butt. During her years of treatment I was basically a suitcase being shipped between grandparents, family friends, co-workers, and church friends' homes while my mother was busy with my sister and my dad was busy working enough to provide for us. I don't blame my parents for how this worked. They had a sick kid and you're supposed to be there for your sick kid. Between the ages of 3 and 5, I had little access to my parents and siblings. My brother lived full-time with his bio mother. When I was home there were extreme rules. I couldn't be around my sister to avoid spreading germs. I couldn't have affection from my parents because my sister needed it more. I had to be quiet to avoid stressing my mother. Everything was to be kept spotless, etc. I understand the need as an adult, but I definitely didn't as a small child. I also don't blame my sister for any of this. The poor kid didn't ask to be sick. This is also when the hurt started. My mother's coping mechanism for stress became extreme verbal hurt, screaming over small things, constant insults, belittling me, slamming things, breaking things, sometimes hurting me more than just a spanking. Anytime my brother would visit for a weekend he would get it just as bad. Thankfully my sister was spared and didn't see it. This continued my entire childhood. I would often hide in my bedroom to try and stay invisible to protect myself. I still flinch when someone walks toward my bedroom to this day. Moving out to go to college at 18 was the most freeing day of my life. Fast forward to 2022 and I developed a debilitating illness that has left me bedbound for the last 2 years. I'm working on healing but it's slow and hard. I told my parents as it started and was confirmed by doctors. My mother acted as if I made the whole thing up. She even accused me of using it to try and get money out of my father who is financially stable and would help me as my ability to work stopped. She also badmouthed me to my siblings. I can assure you I'd pay every penny I own to be well. Her accusation was the last straw and I went no contact. I was shocked that after everything she went through with my sister, she had zero compassion for my illness. I didn't ask for this. Now after 2 years she wants contact again and promises to be better. I don't trust her words as she's made this promise several times in the past and never followed through. Am I the a-hole? Story 3. I have a disabled brother my family just wants to forget about. 3 years before my mom had me she was a dysfunctional alcoholic and didn't stop her addiction for my brother's pregnancy. My brother was born with fetal alcohol syndrome, noticeably mentally disabled. He lived with us until he was around 8. I was 5, before my mom, who was still struggling, put him into professional care, a group home of some kind. I don't remember if it was a CPS thing since we don't talk about it and I was too young to remember, but I wouldn't be surprised. Life was just messy back then. Over the years, my mother and I gradually improved our relationship with the rest of our family, as they had cut ties with her due to her addiction, that she was actively working on and got much better at managing it, but the relationship with my brother sort of fizzled out. When I was young we'd visit him a lot, even take him home over the weekend. It wasn't enough to keep a steady relationship over the years though. Since I was young and didn't see him a lot, it felt awkward and estranged and I tagged along to less and less visits. I was also uncomfortable just being in the group home and seeing the kids that live there. I was kind of sheltered and wasn't really used to it, so I stopped going entirely when I was about 15, and my mom stopped soon after. We only visited him every few months after that, despite it only being a 10-minute drive, and soon that turned into almost never. And those who don't or didn't know my brother might think that it's easy to forget about someone like that, paraphrasing extended family here, because they picture someone unresponsive, someone you struggle to build a connection with, someone who wouldn't fit into the picture normally, and I believed, or wanted, that to be the case, because I was in denial, because I wanted the abandonment to be justified. My brother, despite everything, is a social butterfly. He jokes around with you, he understands, and uses sarcasm, and even when he doesn't understand your jokes he knows when to laugh. His social awareness and charisma is genuinely impressive and something I'm quite jealous of. He loves people, being friendly, and although he can't remember anything that isn't a core memory, he always, every week, remembers to call. He's a huge family guy, and it pains me. Every weekend, he calls, from the day we left him, to this day 20-ish years later. First my mom, then me. Mom doesn't pick up the phone. Sometimes I do. He asks about the cat and when I visit him again, he says that he's out of sweets as an excuse to make me come over. I can hear him grinning, clapping and celebrating when I pick up the phone. I can hear his caretakers telling him to cut the call short, since he has to use their landline. He asks me how my kids are. He doesn't know their names, but he cares about his nieces and nephew. He asks about mom, and if I can put her on the phone. I never can. We don't live together. Some years ago I asked my mom if we could bring him to family events. She said it's too much work and she can't deal with him. It's not true, though. He's easygoing. He wants to be good and polite. He wants to be loved by his family. He doesn't stand out and knows his boundaries. He loves us despite everything we put him through. The last time I saw him, he didn't recognize my face. I don't blame him. He's not the best at remembering. The nurse pointed me out to him. That's your brother, she said, and he took a moment to process before smiling and hugging me, like I never abandoned him, like I always visit and answer his calls, like he isn't a massive can of worms accounts my family refuses to open, like I always include him in my family the way he deserves, but we don't, and it's hard. I don't know if it's the guilt, or the selfishness stopping me. I don't know if it's because I'm afraid of what my family would think. I don't know if it's because it just seems easier this way. It isn't easy though, and I would cry about it, but I know he cries more when we ignore his calls. He was robbed of a family and I hate myself for it. He should have never forgotten my face.